the headlights never seem to change. Day in and day out, they always stay the same. Concrete's growing, the city's moving in, and there's progress for progress' sake. They think they know what's best for us and how to change our backwards ways. We stand for the flag. You can be damn sure that we're thankful for everything we have. We love this land. Every inch paid for by blood and sweat and the strength to take a stand. You might think that it's a relic or a right. Way out here, we still stand for the flag. That died, gave their lives, knew what they were fighting for. Sacrifice and innocence left on a foreign shore. These colors still fly here high and proud, the red, the white, the blue. If you think they're coming down, I got some news for you. We stand for the flag. You can be damn sure that we're thankful for everything we have. We love this land. Every inch paid for by blood and sweat and the strength to take a stand. You might think that it's a relic or a right. Way out here, we still stand for the flag. From sea to shining sea, there's still a lot of good old boys like me. We stand for the flag. You can be damn sure we're thankful for everything we have. Love this land. Every inch paid for by blood and sweat and the strength to take a stand. You might think that it's a relic or a rag. Way out here, we still stand for the flag.
Welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I hope you're in for a great show today, because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Sitrep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting.
Mic in hand, ready for deployment. Podcast feels heavy as the ointment. Veteran tales straight from the trenches. Pop culture splices, pulling down the fences. HomeFront Sitrep, stories that collide. Veterans speaking truth, no reason to hide. Gritty and raw podcast on replay, decoding the past, paving the way. War zone whispers, bullets and bombs. Back to civilian ticking like a time bomb. Medals on the mantle, scars on the mind. Every episode another mystery to find. HomeFront Sitrep, voices from the fight. Veterans sharing dark, stepping into light. Real life saga, not some fairy tale. Truth and resilience, never gonna fail. HomeFront Sitrep, stories that collide. Veterans speaking truth, no reason to hide. Gritty and raw podcast on replay, decoding the past, paving the way. War zone whispers, bullets and bombs. Back to civilian ticking like a time bomb. Medals on the mantle, scars on the mind. Every episode another mystery to find. Legacy 11, next story of Marines. Army anecdotes, Gulf War scenes. Vietnam echoes, Desert Storm sounds. Podcast chronicles, glory and bounds. HomeFront Sitrep, honesty is core. Veterans laying bare what they endure. From the front lines to the homebound grief, episodes of grit, grind through the grief.
Welcome everybody to a Monday edition of HomeFront Sitrep. How is everybody doing? Guess who's back? Gunny's back. Welcome back, Gunny.
Thanks, man. Happy St. Patty's Day to everybody out there.
Yes, it is St. Patty's Day, so if you ain't got your green on, pinch yourself because you need
That's
to be
it.
pinched.
That's it.
So how was the
man.
trip?
Man. Too long, but not long enough, if that makes any sense.
Definitely makes sense.
Yeah, we left port last Saturday and then had a day. Yeah, a day at sea. Then we had 4 ports back to back to back to back. And then 2 days back home to Port Canaveral. And then got off the boat. Man, I got off early. We got off a little bit after 7 yesterday morning. Yeah. Man, whatever they're doing on the Vista, the other ships in the fleet need to take note and do that. Those that had early flights, those that had long drives, along with your platinum and your suite, got off the boat first. Those that were taking their own luggage off got off the boat. Those who were waiting for luggage had to wait on the boat, just like it used to be. But yeah, we were off. Got a cab back over to the hotel where we had our vehicle parked, and then hit the road. Came up 95 to 26 to 40. Man, if you have not been, I understand it just opened a week ago, but if you've not been across 40 yet, that stretch between North Carolina and Tennessee, man, you would not believe the devastation that's there. Like there's miles of the eastbound lane that no longer exist.
Oof,
it is gone. Imagine. And, you're talking like 30, 40-foot drops down to the riverbed, the creek. Well, it looks like a creek for the most part, most of the time. But, the amount of force, the amount of water that came through there to wash that out, just unbelievable. Trees are still down across 26 from Hendersonville over into Asheville. You come into Newport, Tennessee, and they've got a huge wood yard right off the highway, and it's all driftwood. It's all uprooted trees. It's all knocked over trees. So, yeah, coming through there yesterday, it's a huge eye opener. You and I, have deployed to, third world countries and some areas where people are less fortunate. But I just can't imagine what those people in Eastern Tennessee, Western North Carolina went through when that storm came through. And then, the past 5 months, what they've been dealing with. So,
yeah, no, it's I've seen like Brandon Smith is down there in North Carolina. He's a jarhead, and he sent me all kinds of pictures after, the hurricane went through, and man, it really reminded me of a lot of Haiti when we were in Haiti.
Yeah.
And it was just like, holy cow. And, I'm still praying for all of them down in North Carolina, Tennessee that were affected. So yeah, no, I'm glad you had fun, man. And I'm glad you got a chance to rest, push pause, reset, and decompress. Cause, what we do in our line of work can get to you, man.
Yeah.
And the guy that we got coming on today, he's from TikTok. That's where I met him at. And we talk about it all the time, in the community there, that it's self-care. You got to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. And this guy here, Brandon, when he comes up, man, he's got a story. And depends on how deep he goes into his story, could bring a tear to your eye, because people don't realize some of the struggles that we as veterans go through, on a daily basis. Now, you and I, I've lived in a home my whole life. After the Marine Corps, I had a house. Brandon couldn't live in a house. But we'll get into that. We'll talk about that when we bring him up here on the stage. But
compassion fatigue, mental exhaustion, it's real, man. I was, the skydive teams, we have our own nonprofit. And for 8 years, I was straight out just doing everything. up late, up early, accounting for people, just every fundraiser, everything. And then I just reached a point that I needed to take a break. I needed to take a pause. And then COVID happened, right? And that pause during COVID, dude, that changed my life because I realized not only was I doing stuff in the nonprofit, but being gone as much as I was with the team, 80 to 100 events per year. We're talking 200 plus days being gone. And I was like, man, COVID happened, in the fall, they picked up and started playing sports. So Miles was playing sports. I got to take in all of that and be present for him. I got to be present for my family for the first time in what seemed to be, I guess it was 7 years of me being, on the team. And it's like, man, and now I force myself to take those breaks so I don't hit that wall again.
Yeah.
Because, man, it sucks when it happens because I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to leave the house. Hell, I didn't even want to go grocery shopping. I do all the cooking. Well, I say that. I do 99.8% of the cooking when we cook.
Right.
But I didn't even want to cook. I wanted to do nothing when I hit that. And, it's to the point now that April's like, hey, you need to take a break.
Yeah.
And I do. There's enough people on the team that can do what I do. When I'm done with the team will go on without me.
Yeah.
Just like the Marine Corps. It's going to go on without you.
And the good thing is you're leaving it in a better position than when you found it. Because I know you. I mean, you've transformed the way it works to fit everybody's need, because there's so many different personalities on the team. I mean, hell, you got an 8th grader getting ready to be a freshman on the team. Dude, that's friggin' fire.
Well, and we all learn differently, right? We all,
yes.
some people I can sit there and give them a period of instruction verbally and they're going to learn it. Or I can show them what to do and they can do it. Or they actually have to get hands-on and do both, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's different for everybody. And and I tell everybody too, what works for me, for my reset, may not work for you. Sometimes you just have to follow your passion to find what your reset is, or to find what your new purpose is.
Yeah. And, over the course of 20 years since 2004, I've had to do a reset once or twice, maybe 3 times, because my wife will tell you that I have like an addictive personality. When I find something that brings me that release and that, I go all in, like I'm just head over heels involved. And when I started,
you need to do more than that. Once a year. And I'm not talking about the 2 weeks that we take off at the end of the year and not doing podcasts. Once a year, you need to just unplug, go be with the family, be with the wife, whatever it is, and just disconnect from everything. Everything's going to be there when you get back. I had 200 and something emails when I returned from the boat.
Yeah. So,
and guess what? I didn't miss anything.
Yeah. So Grace is, graduating this year, right? And she's got a lot of events coming up, and she's supposed to go to Myrtle Beach for Worlds for archery. So we'll probably go down there. I don't know yet. The wife is trying to figure out everything that's going on, but I do try to take, like, when we're not doing a podcast or a meet and greet, those other days, it's family. I'm with the family. I don't answer. I'll answer a phone if a veteran calls, but I don't look at emails. I don't do this. But when I'm with the family, it's 100% family. And I have to do that for my own my own peace of mind, because my kids are getting ready to be gone. They're 18 and 17, and they're going to be gone in 2 years. They're going to be off to college.
Yeah, but you know what? You can walk around the house naked then and not have anything to worry about. I tell my kids ask me all the time, "What are you going to do?" I'm like, "I am going to walk around 24/7 naked in this house. You better notify me if you're coming over."
There you go.
It's just the way it is,
Yeah. So,
Mike just walked in and he's all got a shocked look on his face.
I can only imagine his face right now. So let's bring Brandon up here, man. Let's meet
Absolutely.
him and figure out who he is and all that good jazz. Let's put him in a big booth. Yeah.
It's not that much.
Welcome, Brandon. How are you, sir?
What's going on, guys? Back to that one thing that you were just saying, Deeds. I would be the guy with the coffee mug with the blind.
I'm telling you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to see what's going on in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Man.
Well, welcome to the show. It's an honor to have you on here. If you can do me a favor for everybody who's watching in Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube and also TikTok land, we got several people in TikTok right now. Introduce yourself if you don't mind.
So I go by pretty much everywhere on most of my websites. It's Wiseman Rivers there, but my name is Brandon Smith. I was Army. I was with the 82nd Airborne 173 Cav Special Operations Unit. I've been to a few different, got a couple different caps on when it comes to the military. I had a very successful career. It was 20 years pretty much packed into 5. Ended up as an E5 rather quickly as a squad leader for the one gun for the Spartan unit for the 82nd there. We after I conducted special operations in multiple areas that are just so like those things kind of affect me. So I'm just going to kind of skip over that for a little bit.
Skip over it. Yeah.
But the I went. I spent 2 years there, and I had like 28 airborne jumps while I was with Bragg, and I ended up going over to the 1/6 infantry, where I ended up getting into more of a teaching setting, where I was teaching people how to fire the 60, 81, and 120 millimeter mortar system while conducting different varieties of research and whatnot. I've worked with different people from all over the world, teaching them mapping to how to spit right. You know what I mean? Marksmanship, just survival skills. And that's what I ended up really enjoying and loving at the end of the day. Unfortunately, because of pushing and conducting certain things, I ended up really hurting myself from I have a cerebral injury, quite a few head injuries, my obviously back and knees and stuff like that. So it's just like everybody else. It's kind of the same thing. Carry on, kind of deal. When I eventually got out, obviously I had to get out of the military, where I didn't exactly transition very well. The minute I left, the military, I completely lost sense of character and purpose. I didn't know who I was, what I was supposed to do, how I was supposed to correlate being what I am to being in a grocery store, like you were saying. I still have a very difficult time with that. I'm very much a homebody. I don't go out very often. I'm outside. I'm more outside than I am inside when I'm not freezing to death in New York. But so I ended up going homeless. I was homeless for quite a few years, about 4 years, kind of on and off, not really on and off. I mostly I would I'd meet a friend or something and stay there for a week or something, make sure to just get showered and scrubbed up, and then I'd be on my pack and on my way to moving on to other different places. I was down in Sayre for a little bit, Sayre, Pennsylvania, all over the southern tier of New York, Binghamton. I learned quite a bit. We are used to the suck being out into the open environments a lot. I remember having to sleep in a bag with you got a poncho thrown over you half the time, or you had your whoopee tucked into your uniform, and you're just that's pretty much what it was like. Just field operations, just in the civilian world, because I didn't really necessarily know what else to do with myself.
Right.
So like I developed a disassociation disorder basically. And like people feel things, and like I have like they're either very big or very like not at all. So it's very weird. I have kind of rehabilitated from it. I have to continue to work processes. So like when I'm like kind of like spacey or pausing, it's just the detangibility of like out of the reality of certain like like I go back to certain things and I come back.
Yeah.
So um uh for after a while my brother ended up finding me and he said it's time to go. It's time to go to the VA. Yeah. I had benefits and stuff like that, obviously, because I was med boarded out, but like the thought of being behind four walls and not having the ability to control your 360 degree at all times is very like nerve wracking. Sometimes thinking about it is a little bit like I get crawly out of my skin being in a house. In a like I'm just so used to like the worst things that like that's my comfortability.
The
When I
chaos
met,
is your comfort zone.
yeah, the chaos, yeah, that's what I really like because I'm used to that. Like, I grew up kind of poor, but I mean, well, I did grow up poor. Let's be honest. I grew up poor, and that's just kind of like how it ended up being. Um, Eventually, about 3 years ago, I ended up meeting Amber, which is soon to be wife. We're going to be getting married here in about a year or two. We just got engaged. So,
Well, congratulations.
yeah. But I had met her because I had relapsed and went back to homelessness because I just couldn't, like I went through a program called cognitive processing behavioral therapy. I ended up spending like 6 months within the VA, just kind of learning just what it's like, I guess, to be normal. I'm not normal. I don't think
None
any
of
of
us
us
are.
are really, um, but like I she eventually like really opened my eyes to things that it's like that you don't have to live uncomfortably. Like I don't have to live uncomfortably. Like I don't have to continue to feel like I need to be in a survival, like, kind of like she just basically was the only one that was able to get through to me in a way that it's like, hey, I got your six. Like, go ahead and like take a chill pill, take a sleep,
Yeah.
Relax. So that, like, ever since then, not only I really ended up picking myself apart, putting myself back together. I mean, I still hold the all the values of everything like loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, personal courage. I teach my children. My children teach their friends, and so on and so forth. Um, I What I do now is I go on TikTok and I talk with a lot of veterans about the things and the experiences that I've had that like a lot of people that it's kind of so obvious to us that it's just like sometimes things are right in front of our face and we're unable to kind of see it until they see it from another person or like kind of break it down to like a Barney style, kind of like how you were talking about Deeds. When you're teaching someone, you're able to talk to them, you're able to physically show them and do all of that and stuff like that. Like it's just the instructor in me that kind of gave a little bit of purpose back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you got out, you're like most of us veterans, we lose that sense of purpose, we lose that sense of camaraderie, and we're like, hey, what are we going to do? What's our next phase? Some of us find that purpose right away. some of us don't find that purpose right away, and we go down the rabbit hole per se. I'm gonna, use the old analogy of the rabbit hole, and it seems like, through your journey, you were stuck in that rabbit hole, right?
Yeah.
And you needed that one person to climb in that rabbit hole with you to help you out of that rabbit hole. And it seems like you found that with your fiance, which is amazing. So, because Gunny thrives in chaos, I thrive in chaos, you thrive in chaos. Most of us veterans, we thrive in chaos. And I tell my wife, when shit's hitting the fan, I'm like, look, this is where I operate the best. Let me just deal with what I got to deal with, and we're going to keep rolling. And I'm thankful that you found that person that climbed in that rabbit hole with you and helped you out of it. Because like the old analogy, you can have somebody that tries to reach in, pull you out, and then sometimes they get sucked into the hole with you, and both of you are stuck in the same spot. But it definitely seems like Amber is your comfort zone within the chaos. That's the way I like
Yes. I mean, like, so when I first got out and stuff like that, like I did eventually, I saw my family, but like they got to meet a different person. Like they didn't know who I was. Like, when I came home for the first time after years and years being gone, your mother, it's funny that your mother doesn't even recognize what you look like anymore, because it's like you completely changed. You look different. You're not there anymore. And that was the first kind of heartbreaking experience for that, like to have that kind of experience for your own mother to kind of not really recognize you. And then like eventually, like it was just like I I didn't, like, it's not like my family, they just didn't understand what had happened, what was going on, or what I was going through, or what I had developed while I was in service. So like, they were just very pushy, and it's not like they were trying to be more like a helpful. It was like a Christmas, and I ended up leaving Christmas Day, and I hadn't gone back for quite some time till my brother ended up tracking me down quite a few years later. But like they're always like, that's the thing about like being homelessness and having these kind of developed like PTSD and all these other different things. Is like, they will be the first people to try and help you, but it's not, you can't take their help and stuff like that, in a sense. Like you don't want them to be affected by what happened. Like you're protecting them at all costs. So like, because it's true, because when you even your significant others, they live your trauma sometimes. Like it's inevitable. It's not that they're trying to, but it's just sometimes they're just impactful stories, and they take a toll. Like, you guys are
well, they don't have an option, right? So I mean, they're with you. Like my wife, we got married in 2004, and then I don't know, 10 days later, 15 days later, I deployed to a war-torn Port-au-Prince, Haiti, right? And then came home and went to instructor course, to instructor course, to instructor course, to instructor course, to being told, oh, by the way, you're going to Iraq early to help facilitate the first elections. And then got blown up February 19th, got blown up again March 20th, and that one sent me home. So 2 combat deployments, blown up twice before my first year of marriage. And I mean, we'd been together 2 years prior to that, but even to now, right? Even on the cruise, I had to apologize to her for being a butt. And we've been together 23 years, married, well, almost 23 years, been married almost, 21. So, and dealing through all that, 40 plus surgeries, I can't tell you how many other hospital stays. So that trauma, whether you want it to happen or not, gets put onto them, right? Yeah. Whether it's your attitude, whether it's them having to be in the hospital for extended periods of time because you're in there. I mean, my kids are the same way, and they're 18 and 14, and my oldest has been in the hospital because of me. Not let me rephrase that. Because I was in the hospital, because of him visiting me, more than most adults will ever be in their life. So, that trauma gets deflected to them, whether you want it to happen or not, because subconsciously, we do things or say things that are hurtful, and we don't mean it. It's just that defense mechanism that a lot of us have.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing, and that's what I try to work on with a lot of different people. Is like not only like communicate, like your communication with your partner in the background is so important, but like our ability to communicate is so unhindered. Like when we get out, for some reason, we become these special agent individuals, and we're not. Like we have no communication skills. We know how to go. We know how to grunt, fart, take a dip, smoke a cigarette. You know what I mean?
Right.
Drop around. That's the kind of stuff. But like but the communication skills, like effective communication, like we all speak we all speak English, but sometimes we don't speak the same English. Like we're not saying the same things that, like, even though you think you're addressing, sometimes it's just like, this way. So like sometimes I feel like, not to make everybody feel like they're not intelligent or anything like that, but just slow down, break it down a little bit.
My wife, I said, I do have to break it down Barney style to you. Gentlemen, ladies, that's not the right thing to say.
Right?
Not even a little bit.
Right.
But I speak fast. I was a recruiter. I'm professionally trained in public speaking, dealing with the media. But when it comes to communicating with my spouse, communicating with my kids, I can communicate you guys all day, every day, because you understand what I've been through, what I went through, especially Willis. I mean, we served for 3+ years together after boot camp. So it's just, we're like-minded, where my wife didn't serve, my kids haven't served. And when I start explaining things, I just get that, what's Dad talking about? And then it's like, oh, let me break it down Barney style to you.
Don't say that. Yeah.
You have, it's
education
through slowing down. How's that?
Yep. Definitely education through slowing down.
I'm right there with Gunny. So the wife and I got married in November of 2005. We've been together since 2001. And still to this day, man, I struggle to sometimes carry on a conversation with her, because like we'll be having a normal conversation and I'll say something that irks her the wrong way, and she starts coming at me. Well, I'm going to give what I get, right? If you come at me harsh, I'm going to give it right back to you. There's just no
filter there, right?
Yeah, there's no filter. And I try to tell her that. I'm like, babe, when we have a conversation and it's getting heated, just let's calm down, take a breath, and talk normal. Well, that makes her even more mad. I'm like, babe, just quit yelling at me. She goes, well, you're being aggressive. I'm like, yeah, because that's what I'm getting from you. And it has got better over the years, but communicating with my wife and my children, sometimes what's going on in my head, I could say it to them, but they don't understand what
it's not saying. What comes out of your mouth.
Right. It's not what comes out. And it's just like, I just don't know how to, articulate. Hey, that's a big word, Gunny. Articulate.
Man.
I had my crowns today, Gunny. But it's hard to articulate what's going on in my brain to them. And, we talk about it numerous times that we all served, in foreign countries. Our wives and children didn't serve with us, right? So, but they still served. Like, of course, I met my wife after the military, but
mine were just babies. They don't remember.
So. After 20 years of putting up with my stuff, I want to say the S word, but my stuff, my wife, has secondary trauma because of my anger issues and stuff like that. And my children, I try not to reflect it on them, but you know, you got teenagers that think they know everything. Dad's going to snap, and it's you know it's hard to articulate what's going on in dad's head. So a lot of times I just walk away and then come back, you know, 20 minutes later. Um, so yeah, it's crazy. But CC James says, "Wise man, you're an amazing person." Uh, Mrs. Flex, her husband is Texas Flex, which we're going to have hopefully on the podcast here for too long. Says that we or you feed off of their energy, which is so true. We do. We
Yeah,
feed off.
mirroring's not the best thing to do sometimes, you know, and a lot of times when somebody's talking to you aggressively, what do? Right? We do this. Right. So what's that do? What's that do? Right. So you're putting in defenses, and then you just in one ear out the other, right? It's like the drill instructor yelling at you. You're like, all right, I've heard it before. I'm done. I'm not listening to you. And then you just not in agreement, whether they're saying something you need to agree with or not. But yeah, mirroring somebody's attitude, somebody's posture, the way they're speaking to you isn't always the best thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, even saying you're right or okay, depending on how you say it, could be wrong, because like I'll get to the point where I'm done with the conversation because I don't want to say something that I regret, and I'll look at her and I'm like, "Yep, you're right." And my tone, the way it comes across, she's like, "You're just placating me or gaslighting me," and I'm like, "No, I'm just done with the conversation. Let's move on." And then come circle back to it, you know, once everybody has cooler heads prevail. And sometimes that's the wrong thing to say as well. So
yeah,
and that's a great technique. Like what we did early, I pretty much set a boundary down at the very beginning. It's just like I don't do like I don't do cuss words. Like if we're having serious conversations, like I don't swear. Like if I'm shooting shit, you know, with my friends or something like that, or like if we're out and we're just kind of being out and being silly and stupid, doing fun things, you know, that's one thing. But when it comes to like actually having serious conversations that, you know, 9 times out of 10 are mostly about like the success of the kids and teaching the different morals and values, that ends up becoming the conversation ever. I think it's going to be our conversation forever, because we were raised differently, obviously, and like we have a joint family, so we have 4 kids together. I mean, she has 2 children from a previous relationship. I have two children from a previous relationship. Obviously, we have the mixed blend, but I see all of them as my children, and like you know, we have put things in place to see them succeed. You know, what we don't want them to have to understand or know what it's like to eat out of a garbage can. Like, you know, we don't want them to feel like they have to, or feel like they need to join the military because like Call of Duty is fucking cool or something like that. Don't do that. Like it's just like have actual, you know, like I always have them thinking in a critical aspect, like
real life lesson conversations.
Yes, and it's not all the time. Like I don't need to be hovering over my children. They need to live their lives, but at the same time, like there is a certain level that every one of these children hold that is like a very much like we're gonna be very respectful to dad. That's you know, I've never raised a hand. You know, if I ever raised my hand to any of those guys, they would be like, "What are you raising your hand for?" Like, you know. But you know, they have seen times where I just haven't been, you know, like at my greatest. You know, just very tired, fatigued, and you know, just beaten down. You know, sometimes like things just get to you. You know, especially certain times of year. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's this time of year for me, right? So, like I said earlier, February 19th, and then coming up here, you know, 4 days from now, on the 20th, you know, that's the day that sent me home. That's the day that changed my life. That's the day that changed my career and changed my family's, you know, life, you know, as we know it, because I'd be going in my 28th year right now. Would I be a sergeant major? I don't know. Would I have gotten kicked out because of the way the military is today? I don't know. But my plan was stay until they forced me out, or
Right.
I reached that pinnacle, whatever it may be in my career.
Yep.
And that event just changed everything. And subconsciously, every year, whether I think about it or not, it's right there, right in the forefront, leading into it, and or the week after. So, and then we lost 25 guys between 05 and 06, and those dates, it doesn't always fall on Memorial Day.
Yeah.
We lost. There's a kid that I actually recruited, put in the Marine Corps, that we lost in 06. It was 2 weeks from coming home from his third combat tour.
Yeah.
In 3 years. And that date every single year weighs on me.
Yeah. Well, our trauma started very early in our career, Gunny. We were fresh out of.
I got out of RIP, and they sent me right over to the Special Operations Unit, and off I went. I ended up spending a little bit of time over in Lejeune with some of those guys, those recon boys, and that was at the time. I think it was like 2009, middle of 2010. We ended up rolling back around. Ended up going down over to Lejeune, did an airborne jump for some reason, landed in a bunch of fire ants.
Nice.
Ended up, we did a crossfire with the Navy, and like the Marines were using the 120, so I was teaching them how to fire the 120 mortar system. We were firing the flares at the end.
Nice.
So they ended up doing a crossfire and stuff like that with the Navy. I don't know which ship it was, but they did a big no. There was a mock village that was there at one point in time that was like $500,000 that ended up getting dusted.
That was Mount, wasn't it?
It was out in the tank impact area. You remember when the A-10s used to come in?
Yeah.
They put in a facility out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we actually did like different, like we were actually showing them like our tactics versus their tactics, and like which one that would be able to like cross-reference. That was all about a cross-referencing.
Yeah.
Like tac. We ended up spending like about a month and a half out there. Like we were gonna stay longer, but that thing happened, and then freaking. We go to do the end of operations review. It's like, what do you guys think of the 120 millimeter mortar system? Is this something that you're going to utilize? And they're like, honestly, if we can't carry it,
yeah,
I'm just kind of like I look at my platoon sergeant, and I'm just like, why the fuck are we here? Like, I just don't understand. Like,
it's one of those dog and pony shows, It's
well, I mean, it's hard for us. I mean, we don't have a lot of mechanized support, right? So there's the AAV and the LAV, right, for the infantry guys, and we use them different than the Army uses the Striker, and Cav is different than our attack helicopter stuff. So I mean, same mission at the end of the day, right? But we all get there different. We all get there a different way.
Yeah.
So
I did see that the Army did the largest amphibian operation to date. We just took that title so far.
No, it's been taken. That was Normandy.
That was what? Normandy? Still?
Yeah, Normandy.
Oh, shit. I thought they did another one recently. Oh,
no. No, that was Normandy, my brother.
Count? Does that honestly count though? Like they were. I don't know if that counts.
It's the single largest amphibious operation to date.
But
But was that just Army though, or was that joint?
It was all joint, I thought, back then, wasn't it?
I mean,
they had Australia. Like, I think we all get a win on that one, I think.
Yeah, but the European theater was during and then Incheon. Rich comment on there, and then the Marines had it over in the Pacific. So yeah, the European conflict, with the Army and the Rangers over there when that was all formed, and that
the airborne was formed.
Yeah, Normandy is the largest amphibious landing.
Yeah.
See, you learn something new every day.
I was just reading that the other day. I don't know why I thought of that. But
Oh,
it's
because you know the Army guys have to have one up on the Marine Corps somehow. It's definitely not in the uniform. It's definitely not in
listen,
recruit training, right? So
we have a whole school for leadership courses, okay?
Oh, that's funny. So how long have you been on TikTok, and how have you seen the shift? Because at one time, Mill Talk, Vet Talk was very toxic because you had a lot of veterans that would, oh, you're stolen valor, or you're just trying to get recognition and all of this. How long have you been on TikTok, and what do you think about the shift that's going on now, where all these communities are coming together and thriving and helping veterans on TikTok?
So I mean, like it's something that I have only been on the TikTok here for I think almost a year. Uh, yeah, about a year now. So as far as the toxic thing goes, I don't really pay attention to people's like that kind of area specifically, only because like it eventually will drag you down. It is a rabbit hole kind of deal, and you know who you are and you know what you are. So like it's just like everything in the world, it's just a grain of rice. When it comes to the community coming together though, and like the way that they're netting together and like expanding, we're actually getting more people to like, especially the older generation coming out and really reaching out there, you know, it just shows that like we're actually doing something correct, which is being able to effectively communicate and like talk about the things, the tougher bits without feeling a little bit uncomfortable, and finding it's all about finding a right environment, and that's where a lot of people are finding their niches. Like some people like to talk about their all of their experiences and whatnot, and some people like me, I I've been there. I don't want to talk about it because it's just nothing. I not me, not who I am anymore.
Right.
So it's who I am now is what is interesting to me, and like I feel like a lot of people are starting to get that same aspect of like relearning that that's not who you are. Like
Yeah.
you're Brandon Smith, or you're Samuel or Willis. Like you're not you're not a Marine anymore. You're not. But we still have an oath. Like we still have signed a contract. We've foreign and domestic, and here we are. We're still continuing to push a mission of awareness. And there's been a big deal of like this. I think a lot of like the 22 thing has thrown up a lot of red flags for a lot of people as well. Like, oh crap, maybe there is something wrong with the mental health part of things. It's like, well, yes, there is, but there's also a lot of like self-awareness and open communication and recognizing, that it's okay to get help, and it's okay to, reach out and tell your wife that you need a hug, like, or like, like these things that we're not communicating, that we're holding back. What are you afraid of? Like, what do you think? You're gonna fall apart if you act who you really are? Like, just don't act like an asshole.
Yeah.
You do
So
though.
that's like this morning we were in Doc James's live, right? And I'm going to the female Marine. I'm not going to say which one because there's several of them that came in. Served in. She was in the Marine Corps in '87, right? And after she got out of the Marine Corps, she went and talked about getting her VA benefits. And back then, they're like, "Well, you don't deserve no benefits,"
Yeah.
so for many years, she didn't go pursue getting her benefits, right? And she found our niche, our community, and started listening to everybody's stories. And um, she's 59 years old now, right? She just got 100% from the VA
Oh yeah. Same.
because of the community that we've built on TikTok. And she did it herself. She went online, filled everything out, and she is now 100%. Um, she was 100% rated from the VA now, and she's like, it's all because of you guys. You guys made me go get my benefits now. And that's the stories that I like to hear. Like you said, I don't want to sit there and tell my history of what I did in the Marine Corps every day. You know, that's reliving the trauma every day. Yeah,
Right.
granted, talking about it does help, but not every day. You know,
That's why
but
you got a therapist.
yes, yes,
Use
but
a
being able
professional.
to
Honestly, it's really behooving because again,
right, but being able to hear stories of our community helping just one veteran a day, that's all that matters to me is being able to help that one veteran each day. And for me, I like getting up in the morning, leaving my house about 6:10, 6:15, jumping in my truck, open up TikTok and either Vet Nations or Dr. James or Black Dog community and listen and just sit there and listen to everybody, you know, in there bantering back and forth and, you know, just telling stories. And
yes.
for me, that's like my daily dose of therapy every morning. And then, you know, if I'm off work, I'll sit there and I'll listen or I'll participate in the chat as well. And, you know, talk about the things that we're doing on HomeFront Sitrep, me and Gunny, and the things that we got coming up. Like Gunny, he's very humble. You know, being a Purple Heart recipient is very humble, but this man is super friggin' busy all the friggin' time. Between you know Team Fast Tracks, Good Guys, Blue Skies for the Good Guys and Gals Foundation, uh, Kentucky Wounded Heroes. What else, Gunny? There's several other things that you're involved in.
Mogadishu Mile.
Yeah, the Mogadishu Mile. They do that every year.
You should do the
There,
baton death march, the baton thing march. Can't say that one thing, but the baton march.
Yeah.
In
yeah,
White Sands. That I ended up doing that one. That was really fun.
nice.
Yeah,
So
this will be our 5th year of hosting a Mogadishu Mile here in Kentucky. It's you know, it was started by the Three Rangers Foundation, and they gave us permission to use their logo and to host the event here after having a few, you know, online or, you know, FaceTime meetings, just to let them know, hey, we're here just to honor the 19 guys that were killed during the Battle of Mogadishu, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, not just from the Ranger community, but, you know, the 160th, the Green Berets, the, you know, the 10th Mountain. And, you know, one of those special operators was from, you know, 15 miles from where I grew up. I know his family. I know of his family. And then every time I go home, like I go visit his marker, and then he has a statue across the highway from where the cemetery is. But you know, it's not about raising the funds. If we raise funds, it's good. But you know, it's about honoring those 19 guys, and you know, we're the only team event, right? Every other Mogadishu Mile is individual event. It is individual effort, and nobody goes into battle alone. So we decided to make it a 4-person team event. And this will be our 5th year doing it. So we have some body weight stuff / weighted things, a pack run, ammo can, all this good stuff. And, you know, it's just along the way, we post the photos of the 19 guys that are no longer here.
yeah, and I went not this year but last year, and it was the first time that I was able to go, and I was able to you know walk the course and watch as the teams participated, and you know they have to go up to uh, the picture of one of the fallen, and they have to recite everything that's on the poster. It's a very humbling experience. One of my good friends, James Thornton, he was with the 10th Mountain during the Mogadishu Mile, and listen to his stories of how bloody that battle was. It's like, holy cow, man. Um, and then you know get to see you know an event that is honoring the 19 that fell and paid the ultimate sacrifice. Man, it was awesome. It was an awesome experience. So
Mhm.
So you are getting kind of in the VA where you're from, and let's talk about that a little bit. What do you got going on up there?
So basically, I'm in. So for the Finger Lakes, the Twin Tier areas, there we have. There's an advocacy board basically. So you know, part of this advocacy board is not only are we doing like the healthcare side, but we're giving them the BSO and the BBA, you know, those guys that are doing like the benefits and stuff like that. And I'm asking them questions as far as along the lines of like, what are your programs actually showing, like boots on the ground kind of deal. Like I see that you guys throw up a lot of posters and this and that, but like what is it that these facilities are doing for like, you know, women's health, getting in like there's a lot of advocacy going on right now with the female veteran health program, you know, and also bringing a lot of like bringing different awarenesses to like essays and things like that. A lot of things that are necessary counselings that they kind of not require, but should be more accessible and more available and more like in a more of their kind of setting, like not so much in like a big old hospital. Like no one wants to do that. Like if we're able to, we have a budget now that is like changing. It's evolutionizing right now for the VA up over here in the Finger Lakes. We're a rural area, but a lot of the reason is because a lot of people are just not comfortable going in to do the counseling, and they're doing like a lot of people really do like enjoy the online, but it's a lot of them kind of need that face to face. So finding a better environment and a better like thinking of better solutions to getting them into a better suited environment so they can speak on certain things that they need to speak on that is not our business, then that's something that is doable, and that's something that I'm advocating for. Also, like, you know, as that like on that advocacy board there, it's just basically like keeping check of, you know, the VA. Like right now we're finding a different way to transport these veterans that are like up in the hills and stuff like that. They're Vietnam veterans. We have the highest, our county alone in New York State has the highest population of veterans because we're very spaced out. Like, you know, we're not I have a neighbor just down the road. He was 101st, so you know I always scream out "Joker, Joker," all that good stuff. But like, there's a lot of us around each other and stuff like that, but not a whole lot of us like really interact or even know that we're there. Yeah. And like these older guys, you know, they'll go to the bars and stuff like that, but it's only short distances. They can't get very far right now. As they're aging out and everything. So finding a better transportation is what we're in the process of right now. Finding like recognizing a budget within the VA there to get them better transportation and better capabilities of getting them to the facilities until we can actually, you know, get them into the necessary places that they kind of like, you know, need to be and things like that, you know, because they're my uncle John, my great uncle Johnny, he was in Vietnam and he had like the gangrene. I know a couple of other veterans in this area that have the similar issues, and they're not going to get better. They just need a little bit more assistance than what people are actually realizing or what they're even telling you. Like they'll build a barn and then pay for it a month, like that kind of deal. So, and teaching them kind of those kind of skills too, and more networking basically.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So right now your main focus is finding transportation for the older generation vets. Once you have that kind of set in stone, you have some other ideals that you want to bring up to the Veteran Advocacy Board as well, that could probably possibly help the veterans in your community. That's something that you're going to try to push later on, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's definitely like a lot of homeless program. Like we have a homeless program. We have a thing called the DOM, and it is utilized because the area of the surrounding VAs and stuff like that, we all kind of work interconnect to do like alcohol and drug assistance and things like that. But there's also like you have to get there to the VA, and I don't understand like that like I understand you have to get to the VA, but if you're calling and you're like, hey, I need to get to the VA. I know I need the help now. And they're only going to take that ticket once. And they're like, well, you got to figure out how to get here. That's the wrong answer. Like, that's
Yeah.
not the right
Yeah.
answer. Like, they're like, okay, we're gonna get you a taxi or an Uber, and we're gonna, like, we have the technology now. We don't need to freaking write checks. Okay. So, like, everything is very transferable. Like, there is staff that is at the VA that can bring that veteran assistance, like, and find a way to pay these companies. It's just a matter of, like, they're trying to make more red tape than what there needs to be, and red tape's got to go away. So that's what we're doing. We also have a new person that is a director of the VA that is, like, he's also tearing down the red tape too. He's like, like, there's there's just a lot of bad things that have been happening, and poor service, and like, unfortunately, like, I don't mean to insult anybody, but civilians in certain positions that they probably shouldn't be in a position to do, or like allocating it out to, like, a foreign country, those are no-goes for me. And that's something that the Bath was doing for a while until, or not just Bath, but the surrounding areas. They had to let go of quite a few people and had to revamp and everything like that. So it's just,
it's nationwide though, and it's and it has been. I mean, I retired in 11, and it's been like that since then. So I can just imagine what it was prior to, right prior to the OIF, OEF, New Dawn, Sentinel New, whatever clinic they want to call it now. But it's listen to the stories of the Vietnam vets of, how they were treated and how they're being treated now because of our generation, right? And it's kind of reversed, right? We got treated coming home in a good way because they said never again.
Yeah.
And then they go to the VA and they stop. And then now, because of the treatment that we're receiving, and always, when there's war, conflict, medical advances happening all the time, why can't it happen when that stuff's not going on, right? And so they're getting treated a little better now at the VA. But again, there are still people getting turned away at the VA, or it's like you said, you have to get here.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be something in place. I mean, the VA can have a friggin' account with Uber and be like, all right, it's 15 miles to this guy's house. Go pick him up. This is what the price should be, and you just pay the friggin' Uber.
Right.
It's not hard. I mean, it is, but it's not, right? Because you have to go through all, like you said, all the red tape, all the bureaucracy, all that crap.
Well, what they tried to do is they add in the factors of, like, you have family, you have friends, you can stay here a night, you can stay there a night, or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what if you're in what if, like, one of these soldiers are in a mindset that where they're not in the United States, their body's here, but they're not.
Right.
Yeah.
They're drunk, they're dangerous, and they end up in jail.
Yeah.
Like, that happens a lot. That's what I saw a lot on the streets and stuff too. That's what kind of, like, after I got my stuff straight, like, neat, like, and able to kind of be enough to where I can figure out how to come back down and become tangible again. Like, then I was able to kind of be like, listen, this is what I saw. Like, I learned to do a lot of different things on the street because of these Vietnam veterans, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's how I did it. Like, they taught me. I just literally suffered from the same exact thing that they did. They're like, hey, bro, I got you. I'll show you how to do this. That's cool. Let's go build this hooch.
Yeah.
I learned how to make sod house and everything, like, mud and hay, and you just keep packing it together, and you find a down log, and you get up in the woods there, and you got to camp for quite some time until you get called by a game warden or something.
Right.
Or you get chewed out from a factory.
I mean, you would think that the AMVETS or the Legion or the VFW or a local church would donate their time at least once a week, right, to go and get guys. And so I'm semi-familiar with where you're at. We jump into Watkins Glen every single year. So, Corning, Elmira, up into the
Big
Rochester
class.
area. So, yeah. So I know the area, and I know it's very, hilly and windy roads and this and that. But, yeah, there's got to be something that, can be done out there for you guys for sure.
It's just difficult because it's just a rural area again. And, sometimes, like, good enough is just simply good enough. Being able to have your own like hunting cabin, no one's going up on the top on the mountains. Honestly, they'll have like helicopters and stuff like that, but they're busy. Like no one gives a shit. No one cares. They're like, oh, this jerk off's camping. That's cool. Like,
Yeah. So I'm going to go back a little bit, right? I think this story might have been yours. I think it was when I think I first met you. There was, I think it was your story. You were at the VA. A veteran comes in and wanted to talk to his doctor that day. Let's talk about that story a little bit.
yeah, so I went to the Elmira CBOC. It's a smaller version of the VA. That's what the CBOC is. So basically, what what ended up happening was I had to go there for to actually see the primary care doctor. As much as I dislike it, but she has to physically see me once or twice a year, and I have to get blood work, which is fine. But, you know, yay. But I was in there and like. In my file it says, they bring me in, once I'm checked in, they'll see that I'm checked in, they bring me in immediately, usually kind of deal. But as I was kind of waiting, because it was an off day, I guess, this front lady was chewing this veteran out, like, like you're not going to see your doctor, and no one cares that you went to the hospital. Like you're going to have to use this method to report that this happened, and like giving him different numbers. He eventually turned off his hearing aid. Like he was a Marine, and he turned his hearing aid off and just kind of stood there and was like trying to take a breath. This guy just got out of the hospital for his heart condition that he has going on and stuff like that. He was there to get blood work, and this person was telling him that you can't, like, what? I immediately stopped the lady without too much engaging, because it was either like you're like come with me, or like I'm tearing you out of your seat and you're like, what the fuck's wrong with you, kind of deal. But I ended up grabbing him up. I'm like, hey, Battle, come on over here. Like we're gonna get you squared away, man. Like he had this, the doctor had the guy had the same doctor I did. Like, and honestly, it doesn't really even matter.
Right.
But for a civilian to act like that, or a person who says that she's a veteran to act like that towards that generation of veteran is no, it was not absolute. It was like, that was the reason why I got on the advocacy board and started to stir up a shitstorm, because it's just like,
I mean, to talk to a person like that, period. You know what I mean? That's not how you treat people at all.
Yeah, he ended up going to see the doctor before I did, because they called me in, and I'm like, absolutely fucking not. You're taking him in. You're going to talk to him. He just got out of the hospital for a heart condition. Talk to him. I'll be out in the truck. Call me in like 10 whenever you're done. Like, and I went out to the truck and I waited, and then they called me in. I went in and I talked to the doctor for 20 minutes, and she's like, well, your blood work sucks. I'm like, oh, that's normal. So,
They say that about all of us.
Yeah, and then I come home, like, it's fine.
You wound up talking to the patient advocate too, as well, right? Because if I remember correctly, the story is that she was sent home that day and possibly fired.
Yeah, so they can't necessarily, they had to put her on a leave of absence for a certain amount of time and stuff like that, because the person had issues in the past. Whatever, it's not my problem. But like they end up, when it comes to the VA is very particular about when they release people. They don't like that. So they have to do reprimanding and things of that nature, explained to both of us, because we both had to do a report of the incident of what happened. And they called me personally, and that's how I ended up even getting on the advocacy board too, because I ended up talking to the head guy and for the VA, the Finger Lakes VA there, the director. And he's like, tell me what happened. I told him about it. I was like, this is completely fucking appalling. Like, I don't even want to go to your VAs. Like, this is kind of like discouraging me to even come to your hospitals. Like, if I'm going to come here and have to worry that I'm going to be disrespected or that I have to watch someone get disrespected the way that that man did, I don't want to be a part of it. And he's like, that's exactly right. That's not what we want either. So come on and do this. So I ended up about 4 months ago, I've been at the grind and getting valuable information as far as like them. They'll send me like their posters and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, well, how are we at? You know, I'd send them an email back or do the meetings where it's like on live meetings to that kind of deal where it's like, you know, where are we at with things? How are we changing how to make things for the better and of that nature? Not so much like I'm a boss or anything, but like they're going to get really annoyed if they're going to keep getting hit with facts of shit happening and they can't really ignore it because things have to change.
And what I love about this story is you saw a veteran getting wronged. You stood your ground and said, hey, no, he's going first. And then now you're a doer. You're not a sayer.
No, I don't have to sit around.
Yeah. So you're actually making a difference in your community, your VA up there, because every VA is different. So like the Louisville VA is different than Cincinnati's VA. And then where you're from up there. I love that here you are, you're a veteran that was homeless.
Yep.
Now you've found your purpose. You are doing amazing things within the veteran community up there in upstate New York where you're at. And man, I can't be prouder to call you friend. Because I mean, dude, I wish we had more veterans out there like you that is doing what they say they're going to do. You're making a difference.
They're there. They just need to be reminded who they are. They're there.
Yeah.
They're fine.
No, it's amazing, brother.
Drink water.
Yep. Drink water, Motrin. Change your socks.
Change your socks. I'm a huge fan of changing your socks. I tell the kids, if anything you do today, change your socks.
Oh, I'm sure after rip, you know, especially swamp phase.
Oh! I have never smelled so good. I have never smelled a $3 burger smell so damn good in my entire life at Cold Range. And the fact that you're such good buddies with everybody, and then you're just not good buddies with everybody. Or being able to take your bed apart, bring it all the way down, put it together, take it apart, back up.
Yeah.
Good jazz. Good times.
Got me that kind of reminds me of when we were in South Korea and we were out doing that training evolution with the Rock Marines, and it started raining during that monsoon. They go back to base. Our company commander says, no, we're going to stay out here and train.
On the side of a mountain in the rice paddy.
Yes. 11 days straight. 11 days straight during the monsoon, we were out there. We had no dry gear left. None.
And all I had was my bivy cover and my whoopee.
Yeah, that's it.
That was it.
So no, man, it's
Yeah, we had a guy lose nods before. Remember, we did a or it wasn't a company, it was a brigade JFAX or something like that. Dude lost his nods on the jump. He didn't have it tied down right, apparently. So we were out in the field for it felt like a year, man. It felt like a bit. It was only I think it was only a month, but it really felt quite like it was something, man. It was quite something. I do miss those days of playing spades and the dip, the freaking dip.
Yeah, I miss those days. You know, sitting around in the bivouac area and playing spades with, you know, somebody that's from California and friggin' Maine and
but it's that jailhouse spades with Big Mo and Little Mo.
Yes.
Whatever, little Jimmy or whatever it was. I'm like, what in the world are you guys talking? I'd never heard none of this stuff before in my life.
Yes.
We're literally we're pulling out the the cigarettes and stuff too.
Yeah.
Listen, I'll
Yeah.
bid a dip. I'll bet.
Or
I'll bid one lip.
or the logs of dip and say, all right, I'm betting a can of dip on this. Yeah. No, I miss those days, bro. I do. I really do miss those days. But I will tell you, I've had so much fun on this. I know I just looked at the time and it's 8:15 already. Unfortunately, with Reese Across America, we have to keep it to under an hour and a half. So I do want to thank you for coming on here. Dr. James just joined in TikTok. But I do want to thank you for coming on here and hanging out with us and telling us your story and what you're doing now. To me, you're an inspiration. You should be an inspiration for a lot of vets to try to follow in your footsteps and get on the veteran advocacy committee in their area, because I think it's going to take a grassroots movement for all of us, right? To make a change. It's going to take each one of us to start small.
Yeah, a voice can go a long way.
Yeah. So, dude, I thank you for coming on here and hanging out with us for this hour and 15 minutes. And I will probably see you tomorrow morning in somebody's live. I don't know whose, but somebody's tomorrow morning. I can't wait to see where we go from here, man, when we build this community and make it stronger. I think every day it grows, and we're reaching all the nooks and crannies across America. So it's super awesome, brother. I appreciate you for coming on here and hanging out with us.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate you.
Hey, you're welcome. Well, I'm gonna drop you down, and Gunny and I are going to close out the show. You can hang around if you want to,
Sure.
or you can drop out. But I definitely appreciate you, brother.
I got to see the crayon collection.
The crown collection. It's right here. You don't see it behind me?
No.
Oh, here. All right. 1 second. I'll show you the crowns.
Well, we got to get off first, don't we?
No. Look, there's that one.
Oh, Jesus.
Let me move the fight series. I got to move it. Miss Betsy Ross. Oh, yeah. Oh. I got confetti crowns. I have bold and bright crowns.
Are the red ones missing now?
That I don't even know if that one's got red in it. I got pastel crowns for Easter. Then I got your traditional Crayola. And then I got neon Crayola.
You must be so proud.
So,
I'm so proud of you.
So yeah, man, it's you gotta have your crowns, brother. But no, man, thank you for coming on here and hanging out with us.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
James says another awesome show. Dr. James says let all the ripples make a wave, and he's definitely correct on that, man. One little ripple can make a huge wave. So it's going to be a tsunami. That's what's going to happen. And the VA is not going to know what happened. So,
Well, just
thank you again.
For sure.
Thank you again, brother.
Ooh.
Did
All
you
right.
just hooah him?
I did, because he's a super cool cat, man.
But still.
And Dr. James, I like to mess with him. I'll be like, I say airborne. He'll, of course they lead the way.
Yeah, right.
Man. So welcome, William Stevens. Welcome, brother. Welcome. But no, how cool was that, Gunny? What do you think about his story?
Yeah, great. We say story all the time, right? But life events, right? And I started saying that years ago. Yes, we all have a story to tell, right? We all have something to share with somebody that may impact their lives in a positive way. But those life events that we have all lived and gone through and came out the other side on is definitely impactful and inspirational, and more people need to hear his life events and what he's gone through and what he's doing and how he got through it. And it's okay not to share everything. I don't share everything, key details. And I've been speaking for a long time about my life events and my story and everything I've gone through and put my wife through and my kids through. I don't tell everything because there are certain things that have happened in my life and my career that people don't need to hear.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. Like there's some stuff that I don't particularly like talking about from my military service. And I agree with you. There's stuff that we could talk about that people need to hear, and then there's other stuff that people don't need to hear. Yeah, I know I've seen that. But yeah, so Lauren just said it right. Some skeletons don't need to come out. I would agree. I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Because for one, we've already lived that trauma once. Two, we don't need to relive that trauma because it'll trigger us. So definitely,
it's the trauma needs to be shared when it's time to be shared.
yes,
Right. So there's a place and a time for everything that, when you're speaking with somebody, and sometimes that trauma that you don't want to speak about, openly, publicly, needs to be spoken in a one-on-one, a two-on-one, small group, because that might be the one thing that gets through to that one person.
Yeah, I'm right there with you 100%. Sometimes that will reach that one person. Yeah, and that's our mission here on HomeFront Sitrep, is reach that one veteran or that one human every time that we're on here and able to, tell people stories, their life, their life. If what Wise Man was talking about and people hear it and they're like, oh man, now I want to get involved in the VA system in my area. That's what we need. We need more veterans in those positions, because a civilian doesn't know what you went through, doesn't know what Brandon went through, don't know what I went through. So Brandon, I'm gonna bring you back up because you got a question, brother. You got a question here. I'm gonna put you in the big box. So William Stevens says, if I may ask, how did people treat you when you were homeless?
I was a shadow. I mean, I smelled bad. I looked bad. We didn't go to stores. We went to gas stations and bought little weenies out of cans. And it wasn't always horrible. We were able to get meat. We were able to do barbecues like everybody else, but we didn't always have accessibility to showers and the necessary hygiene things that we needed all the time. And a lot of us were really suffering from a lot of different conditions: schizophrenia, paranoia, disassociation, PTSD. A lot of people, a lot of it's because of uneducation, and that's the inability to find careers and jobs and the partner. Eventually they do get off the street. Like, not everybody lives on the street forever, but
yeah,
we were shadows. We're the unwanted but unseen. But
yeah, thanks for coming back up here and answering that question. And he says, God bless. But yeah, no, it's one of those things, like Doc says here. Thomas Reardon says, general public doesn't need to know. I'll share with my doctor, and now I don't even share with the doctor. I just tell them RTFN. But anyway, Gunny, it's about that time. I know we got to get it out of here. So this is you, brother.
Yeah, you're not alone. You still have worth. You still have value. It's okay not to be okay. Just know that there are people out here that need to hear your word, your life events, and that may impact them to live another day.
I love it. I messed it up every time when you were gone. I couldn't say it as eloquently as you do.
I just say it better now that I'm more tan, right?
Here's something we talk about all the time, man. Hashtag be someone stranger. What I mean by that, we as humans, we're more apt to talk to a complete stranger than the ones we love the most because of our protector gene. That's why we served in the military. Moms have that protector gene as well. we as humans, we will talk to a complete stranger before we talk to the ones we love the most. And that's where TikTok comes into play. There's a massive community on here that's growing. Everybody's strangers, but I tell you what, once you get in that community, you become family. And everybody's very like-minded. Everybody has a similar story, which is it's phenomenal to see. And then when you are somebody's stranger and you go up to them, you say, "Hey man, how you doing?" And you ask them, and they're like, "Oh, I'm okay. I'm hanging in there. I'm living a dream." Ask the next hard question. "Hey, how are you really doing?" Because we're all tore up inside. So that conversation could be a 5-minute conversation, could be a 5-hour conversation. Be ready for it. Hell, it could even be an 8-hour conversation. You just got to be ready for it and just listen. Don't try to fix, because a lot of times all we want is somebody to listen to our struggles.
Get that demon out.
Yeah, to get that demon out. If you look below, Heroes Media Group, Reese Across America Radio, Veterans Voice Radio, Military United podcast streams are proud partners. You can find us on pretty much all of those. Reese Across America, you can find us on Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern. The link is scrolling across the bottom of the screens for those watching, or you can, I know, Gunny. The website is www.reaseacrossamerica.org/radio, or you can download the iHeartRadio TuneIn app or Audacity app and search the word Wreath, and you can find us there. And then we have 2 shirts as of right now. So the first one is at sameflagsameoath.com. Go to co-branded, scroll down to see where it says Marine It Down. It's written in red crown. At the end of the year, HomeFront Sitrep gets 25% of all sales, right? And what we're going to do is all the nonprofits that we've had on the podcast, we're going to put them on a spinning wheel here on the internet. We're going to hit go. Whoever it lands on is who's getting that money. We don't want to keep it for ourselves. It's going to be donated right back into the veteran community. So you can go check that out there. And then we also have another shirt. It just says HomeFront Sitrep on the front. It's got 22 Too Many logo on the one sleeve, and it's got the American flag on the other sleeve. The link is scrolling across the bottom of the screen right now, 22toomany.printify.me. So go check out either one of those shirts. And when you order the shirt and you get it in the mail, take a picture of you wearing that shirt, tag HomeFront Sitrep on all social media platforms. Just be someone's stranger, man. And I hate for the night to end. Let's answer these comments real quick. There we go. Yeah. So, but it is that time of night, my friends. Gunny, you want to take us out?
Man, I don't know if I can. I don't think I remember. I was gone for 10 days in the Caribbean. I'm on island time.
All right, I got it.
Like we always say on HomeFront Sitrep, stay safe out there. We got your six.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your 6.